This is John Abrahams from House of Wax, The Faculty, and Scary Movie, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Stay right here, or die.
You're saying that that's a real person underneath?
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate all the support. Before we get into tonight's film review, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. You can find all of our episodes, interviews, our online store, and our celebrity shout outs. And you can find all of our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search on those platforms and you'll find us. You'll find Brian's awesome artwork. And tonight is my pick for... I'm already dreading it because I think we're going to get shit on. Tonight is my pick for Guilty Pleasure Month. And I chose 2005's House of Wax. It's very of the age. It's a lot of punk rock music. It's one of the most star-studded casts that we've encountered. Honestly, if you just look at their Instagram followers, it's a lot. This cast is really star-studded. I enjoy the movie. I know a lot of people don't, but I've always found the movie entertaining, and I think the kills are really good. And I'm looking forward to reviewing it. I've been wanting to pick it for a long time, but I felt like Guilty Pleasure was the perfect opportunity. Brian, do you want to go next, brother?
Sure. I love how you said it was like of the age, like 2005 was that long ago. It feels like last year to me. But I really think that I saw this when it came out. But when I was watching it for this review, I honestly didn't remember a single thing. So I'm really not sure if I really even saw it the first time. Overall, I liked watching this movie. There's a lot of nitpicks, like the damn runtime, for example. Oh. But I like this cast a lot, aside from Paris Hilton. And like I'll say in this, during the review, I'm not sure what you could cut out and not sacrifice some pretty good stuff, in my opinion. You have the writer of the freaking Conjuring and the director of Orphan. Is this on that level? No, but like I said, overall, I liked it. I understand why it's a guilty pleasure because I know a lot of people dislike this, but in my opinion, it's not bad. I enjoyed it.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Okay. So listen, this movie is bad. However, to me, this falls in the category of being so bad that it's entertaining to me. There's not a lot of redeeming qualities about this film except a couple of call me sometimes.
Damn.
However, again, it is entertainingly bad. The cast makes stupid decisions. More so than even most horror movies. I know that's a horror trope, so it's hard to kind of pick it to death, but it did bug me. And the runtime is just egregious. That movie. The movie is almost 2 hours long.
He said egregious. He said egregious.
I did. No business being 2 fucking hours long. It's absolutely ridiculous. Outside of that, I can watch this movie and enjoy it for being bad. And so I think it has the perfect quality for being a guilty pleasure. And I know you like it for being good, or, somebody likes it for being good, and that's fine. Like what you like. But Paris Hilton drags this thing down. She's terrible. Just some of the characters are annoying as hell. And I don't find our antagonists to be all that scary. And the wax thing is weird. There's a lot of weird in this. If there's one word I could use to describe this movie, it's very weird. And we've watched some weird movies on this show. Don't get me wrong. This falls into that category. So again, I'm not going to spend the next hour plus shitting on this movie entirely because I do think it's an entertaining watch. It's just not a very good horror movie at all.
Okay. Mike's not going to spend the next bit of time shitting on it. That's where I come in. So here's the thing. This movie, like Bones, I admit, Bones was not a good movie, so I don't want you to feel like this is a personal attack. But guilty pleasure movie, I'm glad that you picked it for guilty pleasure and not something else. Because if you'd have picked this as like just your regular monthly pick that you like, I'm like, fam, what are you really doing? Because this movie is about 30 minutes too long, at least. It has storylines that dead end. It has characters that could have been completely omitted and combined with other characters to save on time. And I'm not emotionally invested in a single character in this film except for Alicia Cuthbert because I want to be emotionally invested in her in real life. It has Paris Hilton in it, who has been nails on a chalkboard to me since I was introduced to her as a person. It's very
As a person.
Yeah. I'm not talking about her acting. I'm talking about Simple Life and all that. I'm talking about the dogs and the handbags and all that. Anyway, it's slow. It's very slow. Like we don't get like the ending when the action actually picks up. I can watch the ending, but I've seen this movie. I remember watching this movie around the time it came out. I'm not going to say I watched it when it was in theaters, when it was fresh to VHS/DVD at the time, because it was at the tail end of the VHS era, I believe. So I'm not going to say that I watched it immediately when it came out, but it was around that time. It was fairly new when I watched it. Add to that the 2 times that I've watched it in the past week, and that will be the only 3 times I plan to ever watch this film. So, let's go.
Fair enough.
Okay.
I totally understand any complaints that anybody says tonight. Y'all ready to jump into the scene by scene?
Let's go.
All right, the film starts in 1974. A woman is melting wax to make wax faces, and one of her kids is being good, and the other is not. The dad scolds the bad child when he gets home. They restrain his hands and feet to the high chair. And I wrote, Mama slaps the bad young and slaps the shit out of him. And then we get a title card, present day. Carly and Paige are looking for places to rent over a meal, and then Wade joins. Wade is frustrated. Carly's brother joins their trip. Paige goes to her boyfriend while he's vibing out in his Escalade or whatever. He found a shorter route for them, and they kiss. Nick and Dalton join the two at the table. There's tension between Nick and Carly. Nick and Carly are brother and sister. Dalton is all about his camcorder. The group leaves to head to their football game. They hit a detour, and the shortcut is lost. They catch Paige giving Blake roadhead, but she says all she did was drop her lip balm. They decide to pull over and camp so they won't be too tired to go to the game. Trudy's House of Wax sign, and Wade is intrigued. Paige tells Carly she might be pregnant, but hasn't told Blake yet. They start the party and sling the pigskin. I wrote they're dudes being dudes. Nick gets the ball and throws it hella hard at Blake. Nick accuses Carly of ratting him out, and she says it's always someone else's fault when things go wrong. A gust of wind blows, and they smell a horrible smell in the air. Back to partying while Dalton records it all. The girls give Dalton a makeover. Blake asks Nick why he stole that car. They say that Dalton looks like Elton John now. All of a sudden, a random truck pulls up on them with its lights beaming at them. They call out to him, but he doesn't answer. Nick gets fed up and throws a bottle, and it busts its headlight. Then I wrote there's a stare down. Then the truck backs out and drives away. They lay down to go to sleep. We see through a camcorder POV someone looking through the campsite. Carly wakes up and exits her tent to look around. And I wrote, she's looking delicious, I may add. Turns around to a jump scare of Wade right behind her. All right, go ahead, Brian. That's the first 2 scenes I got.
All right, so bear with me on this. This is actually, I've got the most about these scenes than I do of any of the movie. But the opening before the title sequence, I'll say I like the tonal effect of the shot, like where it actually looks like it could have been shot in the 70s. I don't like nor really understand the not showing their faces, though. I don't think that adds anything to the scene, and I guess they're not showing you, so you don't see pictures later and put it together. Maybe I didn't really care for it, honestly, and the acting, because you couldn't see their faces, I feel like it suffered. Where they had to like basically say what they could maybe portray with their facial expressions otherwise. Also, let me just say this nitpick with any movie really, when it says present day, just put the damn year it came out, 2005, because come on, it's dated as hell just watching it now. So it's obviously not present day. Just put the year, unless it's a movie where it doesn't, date itself, just fucking put the date. So there's my vent. obviously this was the height of Paris Hilton's fame, if you want to call it that. Her porn had just come out like a year before this was released, so she was all over the reality show scene back then. And they actually cast her first to market this thing, and then cast around her. Which, look, she's not a good actress at all. I mean, it's not like horror movies are known for Oscar winners or anything, but the cast around her, I think, is fucking great. I mean, you got Alicia Cuthbert, Jared Padalecki, Chad Michael Murray, who I may accidentally call John Michael Montgomery throughout this thing, just so you know that. But, even John Abrahams, shout out to John for doing our show intro. But all of these cats went on to do big things, especially Padalecki. So, and it's not, because their acting sucks. So I think it was a mistake to have Paris Hilton as a cash grab, but I mean, hell, their marketing, which I'm sure we'll touch on later. Mike Might was pretty brilliant with the See Paris Die slogan, which I think was Paris's idea, but I think that takes away from the rest of the performance of this cast. And I think the cast is great. But the opening with Paris and Alicia was cringeworthy as hell until Padalecki, Wade shows up. She's just, at least at this point in her career, Paris Hilton is not good at delivering any lines. Abrahams, Dalton, filming everything reminds me of, all right, what was that guy's name? He was parodied in Not Another Teen Movie. I think he might have been in She's All That or maybe Cruel Intentions, but it's the dude who walked around with the camera the entire time. I mean, I don't know. Y'all have girlfriends. I'm sure you maybe watched those movies at some point, maybe not. I don't know. They all came out when I was in high school, so you know how that goes. But write in if you can remember who that was. But I said that to say all this to say that Dalton's character reminds me of him. That's all. The Roadhead scene being shot in night vision. Look, it's got to be a nod to Paris's leaked sex video, One Night in Paris. I mean, I know she said it wasn't already in the script, or it wasn't, and that it was already in the script. But come on, it even had night vision. I'm not buying that shit. And who doesn't just drive? Or Paris, whatever her name is, Paige. She's probably going to just be Paris for me too. But she's, she says she can't stay up to go to sleep. You're not driving. I guess what I mean is like the whole pulling over and camping randomly. Who does that? I mean, I don't know. I guess people do. They camp out for shit all the time. But like randomly pulling over and camping, and then you're supposedly like tired as hell. And that's the whole point, right? That you're pulling over. So why are we fucking suddenly having a cookout and throwing footballs around and getting so wasted you're sleeping until like 2 in the fucking afternoon the next scene? I mean, it was just, to me, that was really a bizarre plot point. I think that's my biggest problem with this group of scenes. And I know I've talked on, but I only got like one more thing. But look, this group of scenes, it's all in there for character development, but this movie is like 2 hours long, and I don't think we need 20 minutes of this opening character development. That's just me, though. And was there a deleted scene somewhere that I like maybe furthered that Paige possibly being pregnant plot point? Because otherwise, I guess that's just more character development, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And usually that kind of stuff does. Like, it's the opposite of Jessica Biel's character in 03 Chainsaw, where it was like cut that she was pregnant, but leaving it in to me made more sense. That was kind of totally the opposite to me. And I'll say this. I know the whole filming with the camcorder thing was like set up scene where you're like not knowing it's someone else filming and not Dalton, but it just felt like this movie couldn't decide whether it like wanted to be a found footage flick or not. So like swapping between it too much, I don't know. That just really didn't work for me. All in all, wrapping it up, it was a decent set of scenes, but it was way too long to me. And I will say, Wade's fucking 68 Chevy, I would certainly not be taking that thing on a road trip because that's a badass car.
Yeah, so I made the mistake before we did this of listening to another podcast review of this just because I was curious. And I found myself like, holy shit, he's spot on. And I'm talking about the Dead Meat podcast where they review this. So I'm not gonna mirror what he's saying, but my God, he said a line that just the only time I want to quote him on this, because it goes off of what you said, Brian, that pregnancy angle, that storyline there, like there's no payoff. Like were they trying to get us more emotionally invested in her as a character? It didn't work. I don't, maybe it's because I hate her face anyway. I don't know. But, he said it's almost like this was the first draft of the script, and then they didn't go back and revisit, like, oh yeah, we took the payoff off, so we need to take this line off. They just did the first draft and then cut shit as they went and didn't revise it. And I found myself with that same feeling throughout the movie. Like, I don't care about this. Why are we still bringing this up? Or why are we throwing this scene in there? But anyway, I do like the opening scene in the title card scene where we see the family in the kitchen and they're strapping the little boy to the high chair and there's blood. I don't mind that it doesn't show their face. Actually, I'm the opposite side of the fence as far as that goes with you, because I think it does. Once you realize later on, to me, it was a more satisfying payoff, I guess. The reason they didn't show the one boy's face is because, his face was still in the back of his brother's head. Like, I'm fine with that. And I thought it was just a creepy, unnerving sequence that set the film for what could have been a much better and scarier movie. Then we get to the teen characters, and I don't care about many of them. They're not very good at it. Here's the thing. It's star-studded cast, sure, like for the time period, and you're wanting hot teen actors, but are they good actors at this point in their careers? I don't necessarily think so. And maybe that's a lot to do with the screenplay or their dialogue, that I just is like, this is such stereotypical bullshit that I'm turned off by it. I don't know, maybe. You've got Nick, he's the bad boy. Nobody really wants him there except for one guy because he steals cars, or allegedly. I don't really know what the hell. I don't care. I just really don't care. And they're going to the football game. What football game? What football game?
The one. The one, the biggest one of the year. The one.
Okay, so the biggest football game of the year takes place in warm weather?
The one in Baton Rouge is what they said. The one in Baton Rouge.
The Sugar Bowl,
I guess, maybe. I don't know.
All right. I mean, I get it. You don't want to clear the, you don't want to try to get copyright permission to say Sugar Bowl. You don't want to pay to say Sugar Bowl. So say national championship, because guess what? That's a generic term. Or say the championship. I don't know. Just saying the football game, and they said it multiple times, really pissed me off.
I felt the same way. I felt the same way.
And maybe it's because we're football fans,
Yeah.
But I do like Nico's line when he said they're dudes being dudes. Are we getting a Steve Adazio reference on the podcast? All right. All right. Non-football fans may not get that. Steve Adazio's football coach, and he likes dudes being dudes anyway.
Dudes being dudes.
But yeah, the truck pulls up and they're creeped out, but realistically they should have been asleep anyway, because like you said, they pulled over to camp on the side of a road in the middle of nowhere because they were tired anyway. I doubt that they would be up partying when that truck pulled up.
Right.
And
throwing the football. Yeah.
And if a truck pulls up and it's creeping people out, maybe don't throw a bottle at it and antagonize the driver, because if he really is no good, he could have killed you right there and saved me 2 hours of my life. But it's okay. Yeah, I mean, that's just, it is what it is. I didn't hate it as much as I probably just made it sound like, but the next couple of scenes is going to make me really suffer a little bit. So I'll pass the mic to Mike.
Okay, here we go. So I like the way that the opening scene sets an aesthetic. So that's a positive I want to take away. When you turn on this movie, you're in this podunk gas place that they're in. And again, I tend to agree with Brian. Like, I like the mood and atmosphere that it set there. But then, it let me know right away I'm in for one of those so bad it's good movies. Like, this is what I'm in for. Or so bad it's bad. One or the other, depending on your take. And the cast of characters, I don't want to shit on the acting or the actors, because I do think the cast is good. I don't think what they're given to do is very good, but normally this cast of character or this cast of actors is good and stuff, except for Paris Hilton, who's not a good actor at all in any way, shape, or form. She's terrible. She brings this role down, and I hate to just completely pile on Paris Hilton here, but I think it's pretty clear she's a weak link in this cast of people. I think Chad Michael Murray is good in most things. I don't think he's very good here until the very end. And I just think Jared Padalecki is okay, but it's like a weak performance from him. And that was kind of disappointing to see. So again, to me, they're not the most believable group of friends. And I think that's almost a horror trope too, where it's like these people wouldn't be friends, but here we are. That's kind of what Cabin in the Woods was poking fun at. Dustin, I noticed the football game just like you did. I'm like, get the fuck out. Say what. Now, they did mention the town of Baton Rouge. So for those of you that are not football fans, I'm guessing that means LSU. And this kind of looks like it could be backwoods Louisiana. I don't know. Brian, I agree with you as well. When you say present day, just fucking tell us when it is.
Right.
And like that's so annoying. That's some Rob Zombie title card, no year, but we're going to pretend it's 1975, but it's probably 2001. I don't know. Like it's just, I got those vibes from it. So you're absolutely right. As soon as the Roadhead scene went to Night Vision, I'm like, I've seen this movie. Not that I would ever venture into the. Anyway, so
Of course not.
but since we're here, Paris Hilton, you can still call me sometime. Okay, but so again, it's not so much that these scenes are bad, but well, yeah, they are actually. They are kind of bad, but they're so bad that once I start watching this movie, I'm kind of invested in the. This is not good. All right, let's see where this goes. It's almost like watching Jerry Springer in a way, where it's like I don't really want to watch this shit, but I have to find out who's sleeping with who. Like I got to keep it on here, and so that's kind of how I feel about this set of scenes in the intro to this movie. I'm not going to hammer home the exact same thing that you guys said, but I think that this movie would benefit from a cut in runtime, and there's a good story here. I just think a stronger script with better dialogue would have been much better served. And before Dustin says anything, no, it would not be better written by Rob fucking Zombie.
Oh, I disagree. Anyway.
Oh.
I know you were going to go there. Now, I will say this. This town needed the cop work of Deputy fucking Dewey. That's what it needed.
Hey, I'm not going to disagree there either, brother.
Anyway, yeah, that's all I have on that set of scenes. Not bad, but not like not awesome. So bad it's good.
Or the next day they wake up and it's 2:30 p.m. and I wrote, "Holy shit! How do you sleep that late in a tent outside?" I mean, they're painting the picture like it's Louisiana. I mean, how are you not like sweating your ass off? They pack up and Dalton can't find his camera. Carly and Paige go into the woods and that smell comes back. Carly wants to know what the smell is, and then Wade's car won't crank. It won't crank because the fan belt is cut. They get to the smell and Carly falls down a hill into a ton of dead deer carcasses. She yells when she sees a hand. The guys go down the hill and get her free. A truck pulls up and the guy shows them the hand is just a fake one. "Anyone need a hand?" he jokes. He asks what they're up to and Wade says he needs a fan belt. He says Bo might have one in Ambrose. Wade tells Blake to just leave to get tickets and the truck driver offers to take Wade and Carly to Ambrose. Creepy guy stares while Carly changes her shirt. The three take off in the truck and he keeps staring at Carly creepily. He tells them all about finding deer carcasses. He whips out his Bowie knife and stabs his dash and slams his brakes when he gets to a sketchy part of the road. Wade and Carly say they'll walk, and he's offended that they want to walk. They make it to Ambrose, but Blake and his car of people are stuck in traffic. They all yell to turn around. The two look around the town of Ambrose when they get to the gas station, but no one is there. Paige calls Carly and says they're turning around. They go into the church to see if anyone's there, but they interrupt the funeral service. They walk out embarrassed. Wade apologizes, but Bo is pissed they barged in for a fucking fan belt. They walk off, but Bo stops them and apologizes and then checks out Carly too. And I wrote Wade's even more jealous now. Now we see someone sculpting this wax figure of a person. All right, Brian, that's all I got. And before you go, I just want to say I really like Bo's character in this movie, honestly. I think he's really good. Brian Van Holt, shout out.
Yeah, well, look, 0 girls known to man would go looking for that smell. Look, that's just not happening. Look, I realize it furthers the story, but that shit ain't happening. By the way, Roadkill Driver, amazing actor, played in Justified, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but is Charles Manson in season 2 of Mindhunter. So yeah, he's fucking amazing. The whole shirt swapping scene made me laugh because it's very obvious they just wanted to get Chad Michaels' shirt off for the ladies. Now, Mike, can Nick call you sometime, or is that only relegated to like ladies and Bill Skarsgård?
Okay.
All right, you don't have to. You don't have to answer it. You don't have
We're
to
not
answer
at the
it.
Bill Skarsgård level quite yet. Look, I said if the situation were correct, and my preference is not there. So, but if it were, Bill, repeat. Anyway,
Okay, anyway. All right. Look, the truck scene to me felt unnecessary, but it sets up that very end reveal. So knowing that, I'm good with it here, except that spoiler alert, I feel like they tried to set up a sequel that I don't think happened. I'm honestly not real sure. Why the hell don't they just get Blake and them to pick up a fan belt when they're driving too? I mean, Paige is already talking to Carly after they discovered nobody's at that auto joint. So just say, hey, pick up a fan belt if you're coming back, like, in an actual town. Appreciate it. Thanks. Boom. End of movie. But look, overall, okay group of scenes. We're 35 minutes in here. We finally get to the House of Wax, which, by the way, who just walks in some place that's closed like that? Some town that they've never been in and then melts shit with a lighter? What the fuck? And then playing a piano, he's like a damn 5-year-old child. Wade's an idiot. Wade's an idiot. But that's all I have on that.
Okay, so yeah, they slept until 2:30, which to me, when that happened, I was thinking like we're gonna get some paranormal shit like Blair Witch Project. You remember when they sleep and it's like the middle of the day when they wake up and like time is fucking with them because the witches.
Yes.
That's the vibes I got from that scene. But it's really just they were that fucking wasted that they slept in the swamp. And depending on your source online, the setting for this movie was either Florida or Louisiana. So I couldn't really find a nailed down location as to where it was supposed to take place. But either way, it's warm weather. And you're going to tell me that you're going to sleep. You're going to sleep through all that swamp ass? I don't think so, my friend. And then if they did, it makes sense then that they would sleep through someone cutting the fan belt, because if I hear noises like the sound of a car door opening or hood on a car being lifted or closed, I'm probably going to get up and see what it was. But they apparently slept right through it because they were wrecked. They must have been on some heroin, not just some beer. Now, yeah, I agree with what you said there, Brian. Why the fuck? These two girls are not going to go look for the smell.
No,
what kind of do you know a single girl in your life that's going to be like, that smells like shit, I wonder what it could be? Let's go, Daphne and Velma. No, you don't.
No.
The roadkill driver, to me, felt almost out of place in this movie. I really liked him. I think he's a phenomenal actor, and I liked his character in this movie, but it didn't really fit. He seemed like he was more out of like Tucker and Dale, right? Like he was legit trying to do a good deed, or even Freak Show from Harold and Kumar. He's just an unsightly guy who has a good heart. It's not his fault, but and also that town was not far enough away for them not to be able to kind of see it through the trees. I didn't think, like, they just walked barely through the washed out road, took one right, and they're like, oh shit, there's the town. Like, they should have been able to see that through the trees to know that the guy's not lying to them. Maybe that's a stupid nitpick, I don't know. But overall, it's just like you said, why they're going to leave and go to the game. There's no reason to separate them. If you want to separate them, find a different avenue to do it. I just have a hard time believing they're like, oh, you don't have a fan belt? Sucks for you. We're going to the big game anyway. Fuck the big game. So anyway, go ahead.
that's not a stupid nitpick, by the way. This cast is, or the cast of characters are fucking stupid. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Damon Harriman's that guy's name, by the way, roadkill driver, Damon Harriman.
Okay. A lot of the same thing you guys said, so I'll try to make it short because I didn't write down a whole lot here. But I wrote, there's no fucking way I'm sitting until 2:30 in the afternoon, especially if I have to get up for the big game. My ass is getting up, okay? We're not sleeping in all day. These guys can attest. I stayed the night at their place in Tallahassee. I was hammered, passed out, puking in the car the night before. I woke my ass up, went to the gym, and I was ready to go, son. So all this 2:30 with the swamp ass ain't getting it done. No, that's unbelievable to me. Okay, and even if there was no big game, you're not sleeping at 2:30 in a tent swamp. Not doing it. So fuck that. That bugged me to death. And again, just referring to it as the game, the big game, really, really did bug me throughout the whole film. I know that is a minor thing, but it bugged me again because we're probably football fans. That's why. So, like you guys said, they're not going to look for that smell. And okay, let's pretend for a minute, suspend my disbelief that they would go look for that smell. I don't think the animal dead body thing really works there. It just doesn't look like it to me. It looks like, I don't know, it kind of looks like fruitcake or something. Like, it's just, I didn't like the way it looked. I know that's a nitpick too, but whatever. It didn't work for me. And then, like Dustin said, this guy seems kind of, out of everyone in the town, this guy seems kind of legit. Like, not the smartest tool in the shed, to quote the great philosophy of Smash Mouth, but I mean, but a pretty genuine guy, offers to help him out. Apparently has a big thing for knives, which is kind of phallic in nature, so obviously small penis. I'm just going into the psychology here. Not a big deal. What? I'm just speaking on it. So anyway, his knife is big, so we know what that means. All right. But it seems like a genuinely decent guy that tried to help them out. And like you said, it's not a nitpick to call them out for their stupidity as far as decisions go. You should see that town over there to know this guy's not being a creep. He's literally telling you the truth. I mean, I don't know what the motives are at the end of the day, but I don't know. The whole thing, a lot of this really bugged me because I'm just going to be honest. If you split off from this group of friends in this part of town, fuck you, okay? Fuck you. You're a sucky friend. And by the way, the fan belt thing really bugged me because, golly, did they wear out the term fan belt? They let you know what we're in this town for, and that is to get a fan belt over and over and over again until, well, I'm not going to spoil it. But, yeah, so again, I don't have like a lot more on those scenes, but I will say one positive. So I'm trying to find a positive in each set of scenes here. I still like this aesthetic full horror film. I like that we're in the backwoods. I think that's a scary place to a lot of people, especially if you're not from that area, from our area. If it's in Florida, who knows where it was filmed or supposed to be located. But I think that that's a good aesthetic to set a horror movie in. And again, it's not so bad that I'm looking at my phone, turning it off or something like that. I'm still entertained by the campiness of this film so far. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I got one more thing.
Oh, go ahead, Dustin.
I got one more thing. Yeah, my bad. So I meant to say this earlier. I missed it. I got carried away a little bit. But I like how, when they realize that there's no one at the gas station or whatever when they get there, I like how they don't feel comfortable just taking the belt and leaving money on the counter, which we find out later about the belt situation. But, he didn't do that. But he feels comfortable walking in this house and almost burning it to the ground or setting shit on fire. Like, you don't feel comfortable paying for something just because there's not an attendant there. But you feel comfortable breaking in when the sign says close and almost setting it on fire, melting the wax. Sorry. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, Mike's completely right. Damon Harriman, roadkill driver. If you wouldn't need that big knife if you went to manscaped.com and use the code don't go, you get 20% off some manscaping things. So just so you know there, Damon.
All that blood that was on his knife wouldn't be on your Manscaped razor, I tell you that. No cuts on those nuts, baby.
I wasn't expecting the product placement right there, but it worked out good, I guess.
That's right.
Wade discovers the house is made of wax, and he and Carly go inside. The sculptor stops when he hears them enter. I wrote Wade is obsessed with it all being wax. They look around more, and Wade discovers the dog isn't wax, and it barks at them, and it scares them. And I just wrote again that Wade is amazed at everything being made of wax. He's in love with this shit. They find two high chairs with the names Bo and Vincent on them. Carly sees someone outside in the mirror reflection, and Wade goes outside to look. She gets jump scared by it. Carly sees Wade through the same window, and he doesn't find anything. Carly gets scared by a knock in the house and knocks a figure over. She runs out, and they head to the station. Blake tells Nick and Dalton to go get them, and they'll stay at camp because they want to have some sexy time. They go into the gas station. He complains more about her brother. Wade says they don't have a 15-inch fan belt, so he'll have to take 16. Bo says he has more at his house because who gets deliveries at their house, not their actual job. They head over to Bo's house to get the 15-inch belt, and he tells them the story of the wax museum. He says Vincent isn't around anymore, and the doctor killed himself because he couldn't save Trudy. Carly waits in the truck while Wade goes inside to use the bathroom. Wade once again looks around the house when he should have just used the bathroom and left.
Jesus Christ.
Nick reveals he covered for Dalton stealing the car. Instead of going outside, Wade looks around even more around the house. Carly gets out of the truck to walk inside, but notices the headlight is busted, so it's the same truck from when they were camping. She gets in the trunk and honks the horn over and over, but then the lights inside go out. Wade wanders through the dark, and we see someone arise from the basement with a huge pair of scissors, and he cuts Wade's Achilles tendon. Wade crawls backwards in pain, and then gets charged by the person and stabbed more and more with the scissors, and then he's kicked in the face. All right, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, a little fun fact right off the bat. Vincent is named as a tribute to Vincent Price, who actually appeared in the original House of Wax in 1953. So I thought that was a nice little touch. Honestly, I thought it was super dumb that dumbass Wade is outside fucking around and left Carly inside by herself because, of course. But, I mean, that's not even realistic. Wade's just a fucking moron. Then you get dumbass Wade breaking and entering another fucking place in the hardware store. And, you know, I know it's just a lot of exposition dump here with them walking up to the house, but I didn't mind it. It was fine. And honestly, it was needed for that whole in-house reveal. But damn, let me tell you, Wade deserved every damn thing he got. The man can't just piss, walk out of the damn house, can you? You got to play in people's shit for some unreal amount of time. He deserved it. But, and speaking of that, clipping his Achilles, that shit made me cringe. I mean, I thought that was great. I thought he was dead at first, so I was a little frustrated. I didn't get to see, really, he just kind of got stabbed. But spoiler alert, my man isn't dead yet. And to me, that part saved this entire little group of scenes for me.
Yeah, I don't have much either. So I'll say, he already got mad because oh boy was staring his chick down. He got all jealous and because when he came out of the church, he's talking directly to her and he gave her the third degree because of it. And it was kind of creepy the way he just looked at her and looked her up and down while he was talking. So now you're just going to leave your girlfriend with him while you go inside to piss? Fuck out of here. What kind of boyfriend are you? Anyway. And then, yeah, after he goes inside and pisses, instead of just leaving right after, I was like, this dumbass is just like in Terrifier. You went in to piss. Now go back out the same way you came. Get the fuck outside. Get with your people. But no. And I agree with what you said there. When I first watched this movie, I thought, man, that's a lame ass death. He just gets stabbed a couple times. But the Achilles clip was, oh my God. Like if you've ever had an Achilles injury, I've never torn mine, but I've had a strained Achilles and it sucks. So having it cut, it almost made me throw up a little bit. And then the reveal later to where, he's not really dead yet, really saved Wade's demise, in my opinion. Like I thought it was actually well done. I will give them credit for how Wade was handled, but he got himself into that predicament. He deserved everything he's coming from. Yes, he deserves to die, and I hope he burns in hell. Anyway.
Oh shit.
Phew. Sorry, that was Chappelle show. I get carried away.
Spell show.
Gotcha, bitch. That's what they when
bring your kids.
when his Achilles got clipped. That's what I was envisioning in my mind. Gotcha, bitch.
Fuck your couch.
Fellas. Okay, so I also don't have a lot written here. I really don't have a ton written until the end, but a couple things I wanted to touch on. You mentioned the bathroom thing. That's so. I'm all in on a horror movie that it recognizes it's doing tropes and kind of hints at us that this is a trope. Going to the bathroom, ooh, spooky bathroom trip inside the spooky guy's house. Like, I don't know. It just didn't work for me in this movie. Probably because our antagonist doesn't spook me. Not that couldn't happen. Obviously, that could happen. People could be very strange. The whole thing, interrupting the funeral, which I didn't touch on and I meant to. Like, that whole thing, I don't know. I guess there's a weird motive there, but I don't know. The set of scenes is just kind of blah. They're kind of there to me, a little bland. But I will say one redeeming thing about this set of scenes is Wade's quote-unquote death. I think it looks cool how they do I'm a fan of it. I know a lot of people don't like it. and maybe it doesn't hold up well over time. But I think it's kind of cool how they do the wax stuff. And if I had to take away one positive from this set of scenes, that would be it. But you're right about just the dumbass decision. Go pee, get the fuck out. Not that difficult. Like, God damn it, man. So, and again, back to this fan belt, man. I forgot. Like, they had to keep hitting us over the head. We're here for that fan belt. Here for that fan belt. Like, it just bugged me the same way the big game did. Like, I don't know. Like, just not a great set of scenes in this movie. And I feel like I'm being overly negative. But again, so far, there's been something that saves it in each set of scenes for me. And the way that they, the quote unquote death, because not really, the way they shoot that and the way the effects look, I think are kind of fucking cool. So that's one positive I will say is I was entertained. I was entertained by that part, but that's all I got.
Our Carly calls Blake, but no answer because it's sexy time. So she starts to leave him a voicemail. Bo walks outside, but there's no Wade with him. She locks herself in the truck and he gets pissed off. He breaks the window when she says he's the same truck from last night. She drives the truck. It's kind of hard to write this, but she like drives the truck while she's laying down on the seat. But that stops when like a tire loses traction and like falls off of the part of the road or whatever. She climbs out the back and runs off. Dalton wants to be with Carly because Dalton and Nick are having some conversation. Now we see the man dragging Wade's body into this room and sedates him. He sews the wounds back up and he removes his facial hair. Carly gets to the middle of town and all the lights turn on. Vincent rigs Wade up in this machine and it sprays hot wax all over his body and face. And you hear him groaning the whole time, but he can't move. Carly runs to the church and then realizes they're all wax people. She hides under the preacher's cloak when she hears someone approach. Bo looks around and then he grabs her. She runs off, and we get a nice aerial view of the pursuit. I like that shot. He tackles her, and she yells for help, but it's just another wax person in the window. Nick and Dalton get to the end of the road and head to Ambrose. Bo takes Carly to the gas station and cranks some loud tunes. He puts her in this chair and binds her arms and legs. They hear Dalton call for her, then he covers her mouth. Nick tells Dalton that they need to split up. Dalton goes to the House of Wax. Bo now super glues Carly's mouth shut. I wrote, Bo is creepy AF. Bo goes upstairs and Nick confronts him looking for her and Wade. Carly puts her finger through a storm drain to try and get Nick's attention, but Bo bends down and cuts her finger off with some 10 snips. Carly finally gets her mouth free and yells for Nick, and then Bo and Nick start to fight. Nick gets inside and locks Bo out of the gas station. Nick goes downstairs to help Carly, and he gets her free and he's pissed off when he sees her fingers cut off. All right, go ahead, Brian. I'm just going to say that the whole lips getting super glued and the finger cut off, god awful. That looks miserable.
Yeah, no doubt. First off, I want to say some impressive, albeit super unrealistic driving with Carly's hands there, like backing it up. And I don't know, it was a nice little action scene. I did like how it was shot, and the soundtrack there I thought was really good. I thought it was a pretty funny scene, honestly, between Nick and Dalton, where they're talking about Carly and Wade, and they're both like, yeah, I like Wade. And then it cuts to him being drugged, dead. Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of probably a wasted amount of time in this long run time, but I don't know. I laughed at it. I thought it was pretty good. Fun fact, Brian Van Holt, Nico shouted him out earlier from two awesome movies, Black Hawk Down and one of my favorite movies, SWAT. But he actually plays both Vincent and Bo. And listen, I read on IMDb where people supposedly felt sorry for Wade, what he had to go through before dying. Man, go watch 2003 Chainsaw. Kemper and Andy, the shithead that they had to go through before dying. Shit. Wade was on a Caribbean cruise in comparison.
Poor Kemper. Anyway.
I don't know. To be fair, that is pretty fucking horrifying, actually. That's probably my worst fear ever, is either being buried alive or being where I can't move, but I'm still conscious. I get sleep paralysis, so that shit terrifies me. But I want to say the soundtrack in this part where Bo is tying Carly up, I understand it was to distract, so Chad, John, Michael, Murray, Montgomery didn't hear them. But I don't know. I didn't like the choice of song there at all. It didn't work for me. Another fun fact: Nico brought up the super glue on Alicia Cuthbert's lips. Well, she, at her request, actually used real super glue on her lips, which to me seems super unnecessary. I mean, I don't know, Alicia. I respect the dedication of the craft, but that's super dramatic, I think.
Hey,
And
Brian.
yeah.
The quote Kitty from that 70s show, dumbass.
You dumbass. Anyway, I've super glued my fingers together before, and that shit's on your lips. I don't know. Like I said, that seems super overkill. And lastly,
has she not seen American Pie 2? Super glue is not fun. Anyway,
super glued yourself to yourself. Not a great way to live, man.
Not a way. Anyway, lastly, that scene with her getting her finger chopped off, I thought it was pretty good because it looked good. It's kind of like that Achilles cutting scene where I was just like, oh damn, like it made me cringe a little bit. So that means it's well done.
Yeah. So this set of scenes reminded me of something. They have fucking cell phones. Like,
yeah, at least one of them. That's why I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you forget about it because they don't use them. But I mean, shit. Call AAA. Call 911. Call the Ghostbusters. Call someone. You have a fucking cell phone, and you're being tortured and chastised by these maniacs out in the middle of nowhere. If you have cell phone service to call your buddy who's just worried about getting his nut off, then you can call the police. Anyway, the wax scene was rough. I mean, just watching Wade get sprayed with all that hot wax. Like, I don't know if you've ever accidentally knocked a candle over or something, or had hot wax on you. It does not feel pleasant. And just to imagine feeling what he's feeling, because he's conscious, but he can't move, and he's just sitting there having to take it. Like, God, I imagine that is what the seventh layer of hell feels like. And by these scenes, the action's picking up. And we get some good stuff. We get some cool stuff. Some fast-paced scenes that are going to keep your attention. But by this point, I still think that these scenes took longer than they should to develop and to happen. Maybe it's because the rest of the film leading up to this, it felt like such a daunting task to get through. Like, I felt like I labored watching the movie up to this point. So maybe that's why. But I feel like even some of this stuff, like, we didn't need to see her go back in the church and hide like that. Like, I could have used some of this to be cut, because in the grand scheme of things, you could have saved me some of that hour and 52 minutes. And I need some of that back. But yeah, I agree with what you said though about her finger getting cut off and the super glue scene. Like, yeah, hats off to her for being psychotic enough to request real super glue, because it added to the realism. But I would not want that. No. But one thing that I will give this movie a lot of props for, that a lot of horror movies get wrong, and it's not necessarily always their fault, because I think they try their best. Obviously, they don't want to put shit out there on the silver screen for us. But this movie, the blood in this movie looks good. This is some of the best blood that you'll see in horror movies. And so hats off to them. There, I said something nice. And the fight scene at the gas station there, that was a decent little fight scene. Again, good action, good pacing, that's gonna keep me interested, but could have used to get some of this condensed just a little bit. One of the things that I want, and they're, like you said, the people that made this movie, they've had very successful films other than this one, so they don't need my advice. But if I could go back to 2005 and give them some advice, it'd just be one word: concise. But here we are.
Yeah, so one thing I want to say is this set of scenes is pretty okay to me. As far as everything we've seen to this point, I'm invested in this set of scenes. I think there's some good action. I think there's some good, quote unquote, we'll call them fight scenes, I guess. But one thing that you just mentioned, Dustin, I was going to lead off with it, is trim it down some. There's just a lot here. And we're about to get into another set that's really, really over fluffed out. But this set of scenes, I do feel have a lot of good action-y horror stuff going on. So I will give them credit. I'm invested in this one set of scenes here because of the chase. I think it's shot pretty well. I think the once the sun goes down, it makes it even worse. And you got, man, the agony of having your finger cut off and the lips super glued, like all of that is really good horror stuff to me. And I like the suspense of, oh no, is he going to hear her? Is he not going to hear her? So I do like some of this stuff in here. And they got me to this point by being so bad it's good. I legitimately think some of the stuff in this set of scenes is just good. So I want to give them credit there. Now, again, what we're about to see with all the hot wax and stuff, like some, I already saw it once. But I just, so far, it's been campy. This stuff I feel is what they could have done the whole movie is make it genuinely terrifying, and I don't think they did that up until this point. Like this is some pretty scary stuff if it ever happened to you. Like, so I can kind of put myself there and feel that way. That's really all I have because I don't have a lot of specifics on that, but I enjoy this set of scenes. I think they're probably my favorite set because we're about to get into some stuff that just goes on for entirely too goddamn long.
Our Dalton walks inside the House of Wax and calls out for Carly and Wade. He finds Wade at the piano, but he can't move. He begins to touch his face, but his skin indents and it rips off. And we see Wade's eyes cry in pain, but he can't move. Vincent, he slices poor Wade's cheek off with a knife as he slashes at Dalton. He chases after Dalton now. He pushes him down a flight of stairs and then cuts his head off with 2 large knives and then drags his body away. Nick and Carly hear a truck drive off, so they go outside. Nick asks Carly where's her phone, and then Carly explains to him that everything in this town is made of wax, and the whole town is rigged. Back at camp, Blake and Paige are having more kinky time. It gets interrupted when the music stops abruptly. Blake goes out to check the radio, but then he listens to his voicemail from Carly. Paige turns the light off, and someone enters the tent, but it's Vincent and not Blake. She runs off, and we see Blake dead. And then Vincent stops the knife deeper into his neck as he chases Paige. Paige runs into a warehouse of abandoned cars. She finds a bunch of phones that don't work, then goes and grabs a pipe and gets stabbed in her foot from below. She runs off and hides in a car. She hits Vincent's face with the pipe and runs off and hides by another car. When she looks through the window, she gets the pipe thrown through her head, killing her. And it kind of reminded me of Jason at the end of final chapter when he falls down the machete. I like that kill. Vincent then records it. He records Paige's death with Dalton's camcorder. Carly tells Nick of Vincent. They break the glass of a building and get a crossbow. Bo shoots at them and they run in the movie theater. Carly sits in a seat and poses as a movie theater attendee. Bo walks the aisle scoping them all out. He finds her and shoots at her, but she ducks in time and runs out. Nick shoots his arm with a crossbow. As Bo walks out of the theater, Nick shoots him again in the chest. Bo falls down dead, they assume. They check him for ammo, but they don't find anything. They leave the theater. They make a plan, but Carly is being stubborn. They decide to stick together and go back to the House of Wax. Carly crawls in the truck, but her phone is missing. And the next 2 scenes are the last 2. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, man, that scene with Dalton at the piano with Wade, and Wade's face is falling off, but he's just sitting there like unable to move. Man, with that tear coming down his eyes, fuck, that's terrifying to me. So I think that was well done. Dalton's death, though, you know how I am about decapitations. Almost every single week I say this. Dude is not cutting through his head that easily. Great effects, but that's a pet peeve of mine unless you're Tyler Maines, Michael Myers. I'm going to say, man, I know I've complained about the runtime. There's so much character development. Like, I actually, it'd be hard for me to cut, anything besides what I've said. But this Paris and Blake scene, to me, it just kills the tension and, like, the whole flow that the movie had from the last few scenes. And it just kind of seems shoehorned in here. It doesn't really make any sense that with everything going on with Dalton and everything, cutting his head off unbelievably, that Vincent would have gone all the way back to their woods, to the campsite, or even know that they were even out there. I mean, does the man have some underground caves with bells or something out there? Yeah, Friday the 13th reference, 09 remake. Love it. But hey, and hey, that was another Padalecki movie too, by the way. Anyway, I mean, look, we know how the real world works. I know that this is Paris's big finish, but her acting, her being scared, her running, it's bad, man. And look, I know you marketed this whole thing around her. So the whole TNA thing with her running in her bra, I get that. I feel it. I understand. But like I said, this whole scene just, they could have done something more with these characters, I think, and not in this place that it ruined the whole flow from the last scenes. We're an hour and 15 into this, and we spend like 15 minutes with these two. I mean, all right. So with that said, Paris's death, I think, is fucking awesome. Also, by the way, it was originally longer and featured more gore. But I mean, I thought it was really, really well done. The effects were great. And I'm going to be honest, it was a little satisfying seeing Bo like fuck it and go after them with a shotgun, because I was like, whoa, where'd the shotgun come from? Because as soon as I saw Nick find that ammo store, I was like, well, that's ball game. Like, so I thought it was pretty cool, like unexpected. Let me say, I kind of like Nick's character now. He grew on me throughout this movie, and I can't promise that he would have grown on me with shorter character development. So it's hard for me to cut some of that. So I don't know. Also, lastly, great tension, I thought, with the gun scene while Bo's laying on the ground. Look, you got to check that man for a pulse, though. But overall, besides the dragging it down with the Paris scene, but picking it back up with that awesome death, I thought it was a pretty good group of scenes again.
Okay, they were too long. It's just the runtime I can't get away, because at this point I know, like I said, the action's picked up, but at this point I'm seriously looking at my phone every few minutes, but like, god damn, how much more time we got? You said we're an hour 15 minutes in at this point, but that means we still got 40 minutes to go before we're out of here.
That's true.
So I thought the tear was a great touch, shows that he's really not dead yet. And yes, he can feel it, because even just having his eyes go back and forth, you don't really know, is he just like temporarily paralyzed or even fully paralyzed, or can he feel as well? And so, his cheeks being ripped off and you see the tear go down the wax mask, I thought that was a phenomenal shot. Good job. Good job. Give credit where it's due. That's my motto. The Paige and Blake scene was stupid. Like, there's no need for it. The only reason it's in the film is to draw horny teens into the movie, to the theaters, because they want to see Paris Hilton give a little striptease. And then, why you got the radio outside the tent, or why are you blasting music that loud? I had a problem with that anyway. And then I do want to say, though, they could have really had something take off here. I wish, there's a reveal at the end of the movie, right? How we're going to get to it. I got to spoil it now because it's going to make sense what I'm saying. But, the reveal of where there's a third brother. What if it was him that killed Paige and Blake? I think that's the route they should have gone, because by the time we get to the real, you don't give a shit. He was a nice one. So I think if you tie it back in and somehow we find out he's the one that killed Paige and Blake, the reveal seems like it meant more. That's just one of the ways I would try to fix the movie. The acting in this scene, though, like you said, Paris's acting was ass. My God. And then, yeah, they should have killed Bo. You don't want to just leave. I've seen too many horror movies to just think, oh, we shot him with a crossbow, we should have plenty of time to get out of here. Nah, man. Nah, just go ahead and do it. He's bad news. You'd be doing society a service by taking him out, making sure that he's dead, and you would be almost guaranteeing your survival. Just kill him right there. And as for Dalton, what I said earlier about how they could have combined some of the characters, or I don't care about the characters. I still don't care about Dalton. I almost feel like Dalton and Blake could have just been combining a character. Like, I don't know. We don't need 6 of these people. Especially when only 2 of them survive, and especially when, like you said, there is a lot of character development, but at what cost? It took us forever to get here to where you're just now feeling like you said you started to come around on Dalton. We are too far in to just now start to be caring about these characters, in my opinion, if you want to make a movie enjoyable and watchable. So I'm almost done with my rant. Go ahead.
Okay, I just think this set of scenes goes on a little too long. They really start to fluff out the runtime here. You hit on it, Dustin. This is the part where I'm finally starting to look down. How much is left of this movie? Being an hour and 52 minutes long, this is where you really start to feel the runtime. And that's just a general complaint I have with movies. If a movie's too long and it feels like it's too long, then it's probably too goddamn long. And this movie went on way too long for me, especially in this set of scenes. All the stuff with the crossbow and just it felt like it's in there for the sake of having a long movie, which I just don't really get. A couple positives though is the Dalton and Wade scene. I agree with you, Brian. I think that's a genuinely creepy and almost kind of heart-wrenching scene. Now, look, I'm not super invested in the character of Dalton, but I kind of am in Wade, and so that was kind of tough, man. That's kind of a tough deal. But again, all the stuff about not finding her phone, and there's just a little too much here. One more positive: Paris Hilton's death is fucking cool, man. Like, it is the one. Spoiler alert. The one death I'm like, wow, okay. If this movie could have been a lot of that and a little bit less whatever the fuck they gave us, I might have been a little more invested because, again, there's just not a whole lot to latch onto. But that death kind of made me go, oh, shit. So really like the death of Paris Hilton, but everything leading up to it is bad. Now, again, not going to complain about watching Paris Hilton run like that. But at the same time, too long. She's bad, so the scene is bad, but the death is really fucking cool. So props to the special effects and all that, because I think it turned out really well. But that's all I have. There's a couple positives, but for the most part, a lot of this just feels like fluff. And I feel like you could have cut some of this out and got right to the ending, which I have some praise for.
All right, the next two scenes are the end. The two go inside the house. Carly grabs a baseball bat. They find guns, but they're behind glass. Nick breaks it open, but they're still inaccessible. Carly finds newspaper clippings of twins separated at birth and pictures of them. They hide when Bo barges in the house. He hobbles to the kitchen and pulls the arrows out. He screams in pain. Meanwhile, Nick finds a door to downstairs. The tow truck arrives with Paige and Blake's bodies. Vincent walks in and Bo scolds him for leaving and then tells him they're almost done with Mama's vision of the town. He uses a hot spoon to fix his mask. Bo finds pictures on the ground, so he starts to look around for them. Nick grabs Carly and takes her downstairs. They start hitting all these switches to find light down there, but it turns on all of the city functions. So Bo knows exactly where they are now. They find Dalton in the wax machine, and Nick freaks out when he breaks his head off. No time for sorrow as Vincent finds them. Nick and Vincent fight, and Nick pours the hot wax all on the ground as they run off. Then they see Wade's dead body as they encounter Bo. Bo and Nick fight now. The fire from below begins to melt the whole house. The floors cave in and figures' bodies melt. Nick grabs the arrow in Bo's chest to get him to the ground, and then Bo stabs Nick's leg. Carly then hits Bo with the bat and then beats his head in repeatedly killing him. Vincent shows up now and sees his dead brother. Carly goes upstairs into a room with a crib, and two wax Siamese twins joined at the head. Vincent breaks in the room by cutting through the door down the middle and disjoining the twins. She pleads for Vincent to not attack and says he isn't a freak and Bo was the bad one. Nick struggles to get up the melting stairs. Nick tackles Vincent and sees his real face. He goes to stab Nick, then Carly grabs a knife out of Nick's leg and stabs Vincent in the chest. Nick kicks him off the bed and he falls to the floor, back onto his twin Bo, rejoining them at the face and head. Nick and Carly exit the house by digging through the walls with their hands. They hobble away and watch it melt before them. Next day, cops and paramedics show up, and Nick says that it's his friend's camera, but he can't keep it because it's evidence. They say the city's been abandoned for 10 years, and they only found them because of all the smoke in the forest. Somehow, Nick got the camcorder back, and it's revealed at the end that Vincent and Bo had a brother, the creepy truck driver. He waves at them as they leave in the ambulance, and then Helena by My Chemical Romance blares, which is a badass song. All right, go ahead, Brian.
Look, the opening in this house pissed me off. Bo is not even a match anymore, and you don't beat his ass with that baseball bat. I mean, either one of them are kicking his ass in that state, but you just sit there, you watch him pull those arrows out of his arms, which is why I'm calling bullshit on him, not only passing out from any blood loss or pain or anything, but he's pretty much just walking around the rest of the movie pretty much unharmed, which is why it pisses me off even more when he's fighting Nick and Carly, because I just shook my head the whole time, because I mean, he should have never done the damage to Nick or Carly in that state that he was in at all. And what the fuck? You can't find a light, so your answer is to flip on all the damn breakers? I just went, wow. But big props to both Chad Michael and Alicia Cuthbert, because their acting when they found Dalton, I thought was really good. Also, someone please call Stanley Kubrick, break him away from filming the sky, the landscapes, and just call him up, let him know that this is how you're supposed to swing a baseball bat, and not how Shelley Duvall was doing it. You think, one out of 750 takes, you maybe would learn how to properly swing a baseball bat. But Cuthbert, back to this, did a great job. Probably most satisfying death for me of Bo, just getting his ass beat like that. I loved seeing it. The visuals of everyone in the house melting, I thought was fucking great. The ending was pretty over the top, and a little too on the nose, with the knife cutting to the wall and cutting the wax babies in half, and then the twins landing on top of each other to die. It is what it is, but overall, I did enjoy the ending of this thing. And and John Michael Montgomery getting that camcorder back. Why? So he can watch his friend Paris get brutally murdered again? Plus, when the hell did he even get that back? He never left the ambulance. Anyway, other than that, the ending was fine. And shit, I should know this because I did no research on this. And since this is your film, Nico, is there a House of Wax 2? Is there a direct video on demand or anything like that? Do you know?
No. Negative.
No. Negative. Okay. Anyway, that's all I had.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to touch on something real quick. You're comparing apples and oranges here with Shelley Duvall and Alicia Cuthbert. And what I mean by that is it's a different time period. First of all, in 2005, women were much more empowered. They it's a circumstance of the times. She probably felt more comfortable swinging a bat than Shelley Duvall. Plus, Shelley Duvall's character in The Shining, she was more meek. She wasn't a badass who felt comfortable swinging a baseball bat. She swung a baseball out of necessity. Anyway, okay. Sorry.
A League of Their Own came out back then. Trust me, those girls could swing baseball bats just fine. She had plenty of women to look up to. Sorry.
Now you're bringing bananas into the apples and oranges conversation. Those were athletes. Does Shelley Duvall look like an athlete to you? Anyway.
All of this fruit coming into this argument.
Jesus, Murphy. All right. The fight scene and the setting with all the fire to set up this finale was fucking awesome. I know what you're saying. I don't want to skip over everything, but you touched on it pretty well there. The stuff that happened that preceded this with let's just flip every breaker in here. Okay. Whatever. But when we got to where we got and the house catches on fire and it starts to melt, that's awesome, because now this is one of those where it did pay off earlier when they arrive at the House of Wax. And he's like, holy shit, the whole thing's made of wax. I'm glad they did that earlier, because then I probably wouldn't have appreciated if he just said it now. Holy shit, is this place made of wax? So anyway, I like how that setup was, how the payoff came through there. I hate the way Bo went out, because like you said, he gets shot. And like I said a minute ago, they should have killed him there. If you're going to beat his head in with the baseball bat, do it there. But he survives all that. And then he comes back like nothing happened. He's got full strength of all of his limbs, even though he's got arrows sticking in and out of his body. And he's just whooping ass all over, which, by the way, the punch that he delivered to Alicia Cuthbert when he punched her right in the face was hilarious. Hitting a woman is not hilarious at all. But the way she flew backwards, I laughed I had to take it back and watch it again, because just the way she flew backwards was hilarious to me. Over the top acting there is what I'm getting at. I appreciated it. But yeah, when he finally does go out, I wanted something more satisfying than just he got bludgeoned to death by a baseball bat. break his head off or something. Like put him in the wax machine. I don't know. I just something else. Don't just hit him in the face with a baseball bat 8 or 9 times. And then she goes upstairs. Like that's one of those cabin in the woods type things, right? Like they're doing the dumbest things possible because someone's dumbing them down. Yeah, we're gonna go upstairs. There's definitely an exit up there. There has to be. That was stupid to me. I get it, but whatever. Then when she's in the room and she uses the little crib there, bassinet, to block the door, yeah, that's really gonna stop him. That thing looked like it weighed a lot. But I thought it was just mad corny how he slices through the door and he slices through the babies, and they just happen to be conjoined the same way Bo and Vincent's. Which, okay, I get it. That's not coincidental, but it was just too coincidental how the way his knife sliced through was exactly how they were separated, or at the exact, okay, that's a little bit too much for me. However, I do like how the poetic justice of him falling through the floor and falling on top of his brother and being rejoined to his brother. Like I didn't mind that. So maybe I'm a hypocrite. Maybe I'm a hypocriticizer. I don't know, but I appreciated that. I thought it was cool. The house melting and them almost being trapped inside forever, but then pushing through the wall and escaping. I thought that was very dramatic, and I thought it was intense, and it was satisfying. If they would have ended it there, I would have been okay. Like they get out and they're like, take a deep breath, and the credits roll. I'm good with that because I don't need anything that happens after this. I don't need him being able to steal police evidence, even though we never see him disappear for a period of time that would allow him to do that. I don't need the reveal that, Sheriff, there wasn't just 2 brothers. There was 3. Dum dum dum. Like that was stupid as fuck. Like, and then as they're driving off, we see the roadkill driver. He's the 3rd brother. We assume because he's petting the dog that was in the House of Wax when they first broke in. And this whole movie can be summarized by saying that most bad things in life can be avoided if you just don't pull breaking and enterings. But that's just my take on it.
True.
Really, was Bo and Vincent just standing their ground? These people broke in their house. I mean, shit, you got to do something about it.
Stand your ground law.
I do not like I just don't like it. Like I didn't feel satisfied with the happy ending here because, like I said, if they'd have left the happy ending, they survived and it's dark outside, and we don't know that they got out of the town, but we have a good feeling because the killers are dead, and we don't know the third brother is a brother. That happy ending would have been satisfying, but I don't need a sunshining happy ending because it sets up like there's going to be a sequel, and there's not a sequel. Thank God, because it would have been 2 more hours that I'd never get back. Damn. But Damn. I just didn't need it, man. I didn't need it. They could have, like I said with Bones, there's a good story here. This movie didn't have half of the problems that Bones did as far as what the hell is really going on. This is confusing. It's just the script was bad. A lot of the things that there was just a lot of unnecessary fluff that drug it out way too long. And, it is what it is. Could have been better.
Hey, Mike, before you go, I just wanted to say, Dustin, I think it's pretty telling of how sadistic we are that 8 or 9 bludgeoning blows to the head wasn't satisfying enough.
That's a horror movie fan for you, man. That's how that goes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest.
Sick fuck.
Sick fuck. All right. So I actually like that death. I think Bo's death is fine. It's almost
Me too.
Cathartic in a way to see him just get his ass beat like that, the way Brian mentioned. I think that was done well. Now, look, I agree. Maybe there should have been some element of wax, but I don't know. I think it was played up really well. So I was happy with that death. A lot of this ending had the whole movie just kind of owned this and been campy and over the top the whole time, and everything's kind of like wink, wink, right on the nose. I think it could have worked for a better film because a lot of this ending is way over the top. The house melting, the the knife and the babies and all of that stuff. That yes, it's campy, it's corny, but I think it works when I separate it from the rest of the movie. Anyway, as far as in the setting of the movie, I don't know. We're way over runtime here, and this stuff just kind of falls flat. But I will say I'm entertained by this section of the movie. I do think that it's intense, and I think that some of the acting is good too. And so, as far as the very, very end, I do agree with Dustin. Had they just pushed through out of there, and that's it, credits roll. First of all, would have cut another like 8 minutes off the runtime. That would have helped. But second of all, I think it would have made for a more concise story, a better film. What we get is a setup for a sequel that never comes. I'm just going to assume they banked on Paris Hilton making enough money in the box office to set up a sequel automatically. But when your movie is critically panned for being pretty tough, I don't see how they had that idea in mind. But yeah, I mean, I don't need any of that after they break through the house. None, zero, zilch, any of that. Take all of that out, and you get a better movie, a better story. And again, I like how kind of out there and nuts the effects of the house melting. I thought was awesome. Like that is some really cool stuff. And I feel like had the whole movie gone kind of over the top like that, I think it would have made for a more entertaining movie than some of the stuff that dragged. But what I will say is there's a lot in this movie that I said at the very beginning of the show where it's just it's so bad I'm entertained. And I mentioned the good, but I think the end has that campy kind of, I don't want to say early Friday the 13th type stuff because it's way more, over the top than some of that stuff. But some of that stuff is like super, this campy and it's kind of supposed to be corny. And I think some of this kind of falls into that category, but I think it works. And so I'm entertained by the end, but the movie as a whole, if we shave about 30 minutes off, I think we get a little bit of a more fluid story. And I wish they had done that.
All right, y'all got any final thoughts before we jump into a fan question?
No.
No, let's go.
All right, friend of the show, Michelle Merza, she commented that she watched this movie for the first time on Friday. She thought it was okay. It reminded her of Wrong Turn.
Yeah, it does.
But she asked us what are some of our other guilty pleasure movies that we didn't pick. And I'll answer first just to give y'all a little bit of time if y'all want to ponder on that. Some guilty pleasure movies of mine, I would say, I like Jason Takes Manhattan. We've already done that. That's a guilty pleasure because universally it's hated. Halloween Resurrection. I like Halloween Resurrection. That's universally hated. That'll probably be at the bottom 5 of Mike's 31 next week. Heck, I like Seed of Chucky. I don't hate it as much as everyone else does. That's a couple of them right off the top of my head. That's guilty pleasures. Dead Silence, James Wan movie. It's not nowhere near received like his other ones, but I like Dead Silence a lot. That's a guilty pleasure of mine. Anybody else got some other guilty pleasures they were thinking about picking?
I'll go. I said one last week, and that would be Jason X. That's one of mine, and I think that movie is obviously universally hated, but there is some defense of some of the stuff out there, so I'm not completely alone in it. Now, again, it's one that I know is bad, but I'm entertained by the kills. And I think when the kills are good, I can sit through a movie and at least not totally want to rip my eyes out like I do in Manhattan and Halloween 5 and Halloween Resurrection. And I'm just giving you a glimpse into what next week's going to look like. But as far as other horror guilty pleasures, 9 times out of 10, if I like a movie, I just like it. Hell, I'm not going to lie. The Demon Knight is now one of my guilty pleasures. That's a fun film. I'm thoroughly glad we got to review that movie. Not Bones. Sorry, Dustin. But I think that a lot of the so bad it's good movies don't normally hit with me. But I do. I don't know if I'm alone in this per se, but I think that but is Friday the 13th Part 2 hated or loved?
It sucks, but you can.
Well, we
know your Team Sack.
I'm Team Sack, and if nobody else likes that movie, I do. I think that movie's really good. It has It has the second best final girl in the whole franchise. So suck it.
Well, damn.
I got a few. Just off the top of my head, I'm sure there's more that I could come up with if I actually sat down and thought about it. The first one I'll say is the one that I was actually back and forth with. Should I pick this? Should I wait and just do it later? We're gonna do this movie eventually. Ghost of Mars, John Carpenter. Ghost of Mars, Ice Cube stars in it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I like it. Yeah, pal. They Live is another one that I was gonna pick for guilty pleasure, and I'm gonna pick that one as well. Another John Carpenter film. Hey, I guess I'm a John Carpenter fan, other than that one movie he made in 1978. Tremors.
Oh, fuck you! You like that movie? You already admitted to me. I have the text. Kiss my ass.
I'm about to say
sorry,
the best one he's ever made. That's the crap.
I blacked out.
Okay.
I blacked out. I really like, no secret. I like all Rob Zombie movies pretty much. I'm not going to say I like them all, but I don't hate any of them. That's fair. Anaconda. I picked See No Evil.
Anaconda. I agree with you, Dustin.
See No Evil was a good choice. I started thinking about that one too.
Yeah, I picked that just as my regular pick. I enjoy that movie. And then, any Stephen King movie, really. I really like the old 80s and 90s Stephen King's movies. Pet Sematary, Christine, Maximum Overdrive. I love all that shit. Tremors would be another one. Like, there's several guilty pleasure movies that I have. It's just thinking of them on the spot. I'm sure I left some out, but I'm a big fan of guilty pleasure because I like what I like. And that's what's funny about doing this show is because Nico thinks I hate everything he likes, but it's not personal because I expect people to hate what I like, so it's fine.
My feelings aren't hurt if anyone doesn't like it. Brian, you got any other guilty pleasures you're considering?
Jason Goes to Hell, obviously, but I kind of felt like we've done a little. I wanted to kind of stay away from the big three for this one, so
same.
Let's see what else. Halloween 6, the same reason. I know not a lot of people like that. I do love it. Lost Boys 2, The Tribe. I had a big crush on Autumn Reeser. Love that girl. So I love that. I love that movie. And I haven't really heard a lot of people say they like this. This may not be a guilty pleasure to me. I've always considered it one. But Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I think that's a great one. And that's really all the ones I can really kind of think of right off the top of my head.
I got one more. That it's not really guilty pleasure because it has a huge cult following. Well, I won't say huge, but it's universally or generally well received. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. I mentioned that movie earlier. I fucking love that movie. And it's not your typical horror movie because it is very comedic. But man, Tucker and Dale versus Evil is a great film.
One more. Hey,
I was going to say Silent Night, Deadly Night is another good one too, Mike.
Yes. Silent Night, Deadly Night's definitely on my list. And I don't know if it's universally panned or not because I never really taken the time to look. But Cabin Fever, the original one, and the Eli Roth movie, I fucking love that movie. Maybe because it has Sean from Boy Meets World in it. I don't know. But I think it's great. And since we're talking horror, guilty pleasure, the Scream episode of Boy Meets World ranks high on my list. Great fucking episode. Anyway.
I'm picking Bone Tomahawk, by the way, soon. I'm just trying to find the right place to pick it. But it's got Patrick Wilson and Kurt Russell in it. You gotta love it.
I wouldn't consider that guilty pleasure. I think that's pretty well liked, honestly.
I don't know. Everybody I've ever talked to hated it. So maybe it is. So
I haven't seen it in a long time. This will be interesting.
All right, y'all ready to jump into fun facts? I'll go ahead and knock mine out real quick. They're all from IMDb. The film's VHS and DVD rentals earned a revenue of $42 million. That's really impressive. Elisha Cuthbert got stuck repeatedly in the melting wax bed while filming the final scenes of the movie. The wax, parentheses, was actually peanut butter. That's pretty interesting. In the church where Carly hides, as well as the movie theater where Carly and Nick are hiding, most of the wax figures were actually extras wearing masks. Jared Padalecki is 1 foot taller than co-star Elisha Cuthbert. To make herself appear taller in scenes where she and Padalecki would be filmed together, she taped 2-inch blocks of wood to the bottoms of her boots. This was only done during scenes where they would be shot from the knee and up. Jared Padalecki and Paris Hilton later appear in an episode of Supernatural in 2005, together also centered around a wax museum. There's even a reference to this movie in the episode. There was a film, there was a documented miniseries on MTV called Movie Life House of Wax. That was interesting. And this film is the first horror remake that Jared Padalecki stars in. The second is Brian's favorite, Friday the 13th, the 2009 reboot. If anybody
Hey,
else
Mike.
has any fun facts, go ahead.
That'd be Brian and Mike's favorite. Sorry, go ahead.
I've only got two that you didn't say, so go ahead. Go ahead, Dustin.
Go ahead. I've got a couple as well. So if you go ahead.
I got to this. So it's actually released 52 years after the 1953 film and 72 years after Mystery of the Wax Museum, which was in 1933. This film is a remake of both. And lastly, the film originally actually opened with a character named Jennifer, who was played by Emma Lung. She was stuck on an empty road with car troubles and is attacked and killed by either Bo or Vincent. This alternate opening is actually included as a special feature on the DVD and the Blu-ray. And though this scene was actually scrapped, Jennifer's presence still lingers in the film. She is the female sculpture that Vincent is working on and is later displayed with a pink dress and bouquet of flowers outside of the movie theater.
Oh, okay. So Paris Hilton was actually the first person cast for this film. The rest of the cast was built around her. Interesting. And then Paris Hilton actually got permission from the studios to market and sell T-shirts with the catchphrase, "On May 6th, watch Paris die." She sold those on her website to promote the film, and it generated a lot of buzz. I remember those shirts. This film, like I said earlier, takes place in either Louisiana or Florida, based on your source. I couldn't really nail that down, but it did. I was able to find that it was filmed in Australia, actually, so it wasn't even filmed in the States. Next one I've got. So the Golden Raspberry Awards, if you're not familiar, they're called the Razzies. It's a parody award show that you do not want to be a part of if you're an actor or a movie maker. And this film was nominated for 3 Razzies, including Worst Picture, Worst Supporting Actress, and Worst Remake. Paris actually won the Razzie, or lost, depending on how you want to look at it, for Worst Supporting Actress. Believable. They should have gave her 2 for her performance in this movie. And then the last thing I've got is Elisha Cuthbert was also in the film The Girl Next Door with Timothy Olyphant, who was in Scream 2, which starred Courtney Cox, who was married to David Arquette. Oh, I'm back, baby.
Oh, God. All right. I like that it's back. I fucking love it. I've been missing it, not going to lie. Okay. By the way, one thing I will say, I think the making of this movie and the behind the scenes of this movie is almost more interesting than this fucking movie. I mean, there was a lot of fun facts, but you guys pretty much read the ones that I found. And there was a whole Mental Floss article about all the fun facts, but you guys already said them. So this movie had a budget of $40 million and made $70.1 million. So it did make its budget back. But that's 70 million worldwide. So not the best outcome, but again, it made its budget back. So I guess it's not a total failure, but this movie is universally panned by critics and most people alike, except for Nico, which, by the way, you should just embrace it, brother. He's been very quiet this episode. He's smoldering like a volcano. I'm interested to see what he has to say.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Let's jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating brought to you by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com and use our code DON'TGO for 20% off of your purchase and free shipping. My favorite kill was Wade. I basically wrote, talk about torture. That junk looked miserable. Sedated. Covered in hot wax, getting your face ripped off. Yeah, fuck that. Then you get stuck melted at the end. Yeah, that's miserable. My least favorite kill, I picked Vincent. It was just a stab to the, like Mike always used to say about Scream, stab to the gut, stab to the chest, stab to the. It was just a stab to his chest, gut area. Then he got kicked. Compared to the rest of them, it was nowhere near as good. Paris's kill was really good too. That was a tough one for my favorite. Rating, yeah, y'all will laugh. I picked this as a guilty pleasure because I think Rotten Tomatoes had it rated as like 33%, so it's not well loved, but I really like the movie. Y'all will probably laugh. I gave it an 8. I acknowledge everyone's nitpicks. However, I'm using Brian's logic tonight. However, this movie has always been a fun watch to me. The kills are great. I really like the cast, especially Bo. I think he's really a really sadistic guy. The kills are awesome, and the whole concept of an entire house being waxed is it's interesting. And Brian has made it very clear that he rates a lot of his movies on the enjoyability, and I enjoy the hell out of watching this movie. I've watched back when it was on Netflix. I watched it a lot. It was one of those movies I would just throw on at nighttime, have it playing in the background. I'd be watching it, tweeting, whatever. That would be the movie I picked. So yeah, I really like this movie, and I have no shame. Go ahead, Dustin, and go ahead and shit on my pick.
I need a moment. Like,
you want me to go in front of you, buddy?
All right, I'm ready. I'll go ahead.
Okay.
So, my least favorite kill is Bo. Just because, like I said, man, just getting. I know that might make me a sadist or sociopath or what have you, but that wasn't satisfying enough. Like, if that's all it was going to take, they should have done that when he had the crossbows in his arm to begin with. I wanted something more gruesome, I guess, because of he inflicted more hell and more punishment upon these kids after the fact that they spared his life. My favorite kill, again, was Wade for all the reasons that you said, plus the fact that before any of that, he had his fucking Achilles snapped, which, just killed me right then. I thought that was really well done. And then as far as my rating goes, man, this was a tough one for me. I had to go back and look at what did I rate Terrifier and which one of these movies do I hate more. Terrifier, like I said, there's no story at all. It's just gore on gore on gore. But at least it had Art the Clown. Both movies had subpar acting at times. This one had better acting across the board. It's like splitting hairs to me, so I had to give it the same 2.75 that I gave Terrifier. Mostly because of the runtime, though. Honestly, if you cut 20 to 25 minutes off of this movie, I could easily give this movie a full point, if not more higher, 3.75 or 4. But that's 2 hours too long.
Brian?
So I think the most well done kill in this movie is Paris Hilton's, but my favorite kill is actually Bo, just because I loved seeing his ass get beat so brutally with that bat. I mean, I liked it. It was satisfying for me. But then again, I'm not a sadist like Dustin, so I don't know.
Come on.
My least favorite kill is Blake because it's pretty much off screen anyway for the most part. Again, I can say this movie's too long, but breaking down the scenes, I just kept saying that, hey, this was good. Hey, this was good. This was good. So you know what? Hell, I think this movie is good. And I'm giving it a 7.
My man.
Wowzers.
Okay. My favorite kill was Paris Hilton because I think the effects are really cool and it was just kind of cool to see her die on screen, not gonna lie. My least favorite is Vincent because, again, very Scream-like kill, but not near as creative. So, yeah. Okay. So everything I've said about this movie has kind of been like a mixed bag. And in the beginning, I said it was so bad it's entertaining. And I do think it has that quality. Like, I think it really fits in the guilty pleasure box. Can't believe I have 2 co-hosts that gave it an 8 and a 7, but that's neither here nor there. But, you like what you like, and that's okay. So what I'll say is I'm entertained by this movie, but not necessarily for good reason. So with that being said, I gave this movie a 4.5.
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. So that takes us as a composite to a 5.5625.
Okay.
I'm going to jump on give me 1 second. We'll look on IMDb what their the average rating is.
7.
Hey, the average rating out of 114,284 ratings. What'd you say our median was?
5.5625.
The average on IMDb with 114,000 reviews is 5.3. So we're pretty much dead on.
Yeah, that 8 really skewed ours. Anyway, we're pretty good here.
Yeah. That's fine if I'm all for anybody's rating.
I'm kidding, buddy.
No, it's cool, brother. I'm glad that y'all didn't, besides Dustin, hate it too bad. This is a movie I've been wanting to pick for a while. I really enjoy it. Y'all got any final thoughts before you get out of here?
Nah, not much, man. But I will say, I know I give it a 4.5, but I would watch this again from an entertainment standpoint. I just need to carve some time out to do it because it's a little long. But I would watch it again.
Yeah, if I'm going to spend 2+ hours bogged down to a movie, I'll probably watch something like Django. But I can't be mad at someone for watching.
I thought ain't Django like 3 fucking hours?
Yeah, it's also great. But
But
I had to get my shit off. Let me be.
I really don't want to watch nothing about racism, but that's not me.
really, it's not about that.
I'm
But
just
that's
kidding. I don't know
really
what the
good.
fuck it's about, honestly.
That's not what I said.
Hey, Mike, do you want to plug next week's big episode one more time?
Yeah, so we had a live stream earlier. We had a live stream earlier this week. By the time you hear this, so next Sunday we're doing a little bit something different. It's been in the works for about 365 days now. Ever since we started this show, I really wanted to see if I could get the guys to agree to do this. It took some pulling, but we finally got it together. I was planning it for Halloween season this year. We need it after the year that 2020 has been. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Halloween franchise, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and the Friday the 13th franchise. Combined, that's 31 films. 31 on 31. We're going to rank all 31 films from our least favorite to our favorite. Can't wait. I'm excited because this is going to be some highly debated disagreements here. And if this show goes well for all of you, we're probably going to do this again, but we're going to mix it up, obviously. But we wanted to start with the big three that make up our logo. So we're going to rank those 3 franchises. I'm looking forward to it, fellas. Live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you don't catch it there, you can obviously catch the audio-only episode, which will drop later in the week on Halloween.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. I think this was a really fun idea to do a themed month, Guilty Pleasure.
Loved it.
We're going to continue doing more themes as the year goes on, and into next year, we're going to do some themed months. I think a fitting way to close this episode will be to quote the great My Chemical Romance, "So long and good night." Just want to remind everybody,